Welcome back to episode 13 of the Living Room Chat podcast with myself, Ryan, this guy, Matt, and got a special guest again today. Matt, I think you know this guy relatively well, so do you want to do the intro for it?
Yes, we'd like to welcome none other than my little brother, Mr. Charlie Barrell.
I didn't know you were a little brother, I thought you were older than him.
You're joking?
Did you?
No, I genuinely did, yeah.
What, up until 5 seconds
Up
ago?
until literally 5 seconds ago.
No way.
Yeah.
He's got a stronger beard than I have. doesn't he?
That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But no, I did genuinely think you were older, to be honest, but there we go.
So, my younger brother, I thought it'd be fun to get Charlie on today to talk about cars. Charlie sells cars. Do you wanna tell Ryan like what you do, how long you've been doing it for, and the listeners?
And the listeners.
But
I've been in the motor trade for all of my adult life. Left school, went and did a bit of sales administration for 18 months.
Yeah.
Got dragged into a sales role, and I've never looked back. I've never known anything else to do.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's good fun. I think there must be similarities to my job and your guys' jobs.
I think any sales role there is, whether
Yeah.
it's car sales, IT sales, recruitment, estate agency, it's all the same sort of thing, isn't it? People by people.
And I think with most, but I think more cars and houses are things that most people need, aren't they? Most people buy a car or a house at some point in their life.
they're the big ticket items.
Well, exactly that, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So who have you worked for? Who have you worked for in terms of manufacturers?
Okay, so I started working for Vauxhall when I first left school. I was there for about 18 months. I worked at a Ford main dealer.
Yeah.
I've worked in a couple of multi-franchise places. I did a small stint at a Japanese manufacturer.
Okay.
But I've been back with Vauxhall for probably 6 years now.
So basically, you've been around a bit, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think by the time I got to 21, I felt I had a really well-rounded view of the motor trade because I've been to so many places.
Yeah.
But now I'm getting to my late 20s and I've been at Vauxhall now for what looks like the majority of the last 10 years.
That's good, though.
That's
So,
it's got its perks, definitely.
what's been funny, Charlie was one of those kids who just like every car that would go past, he'd be like, that's this car, that's that car.
Ah.
You used to have like maybe you still do have the photographic memory of like people's number plates.
Yeah.
Like, our parents would be
funny
like,
enough, when we were prepping for this, when you were talking about cars, I was like, obviously put in the chat saying let's talk about our first cars. I remember my first number plate. I remember my second number plate.
what was your first number plate?
S190 MGW.
MG S-Road. What did you have?
Well, we'll come on to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
it
1998.
was 1998.
98,
yeah.
99, yeah.
Absolutely.
What? Okay, so what year did you learn to drive?
So I passed my test in 2008. January 2008 I passed my test.
Fair.
So I turned 17 in November and I booked my theory test on my birthday.
Yeah.
So I did my theory test on my actual birthday. I think I did 15 lessons and then passed my test in January. So
You're an eager beaver.
I was like, I think I was 7 weeks from turning 17 to pass my test.
Yeah, that's good.
that's
That's really
rapid.
good going. That's quicker than you, I think, isn't it?
I was 20th of May
I think.
and I was 30th of March.
Yeah.
So I was just shy of 2 months.
Well, yeah, it's pretty decent.
Which was good, but then I had a lot of extracurricular driving practice.
I rode a motorbike for 2 years. So
yeah, okay.
And I think half the thing with driving, it's not actually like you learn to drive the actual mobility of the vehicle, but if you've got your road sense, your road awareness, you know what things look like and you know how the traffic moves, that's half the battle.
It's true. Yeah, and when you see a nervous learner driver on the road, you can see they're still figuring out how to navigate the road.
Whereas on a bike, you've got to be so aware of people pulling out and everything, so it almost enhances your senses before you actually learn to drive.
Yeah, your life is very much in your own hands on a bike, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because I mean, if you have a crash in a car, you have a little prang or something, it's whatever. But even if you have like a low speed hit on a bike, I mean, you're pretty screwed, aren't you?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
It's,
Absolutely.
Yeah, scary stuff. I almost got a bike at 16, about 6 weeks before my birthday. I was walking home and I saw this horrible crash at a T-junction, and the chap who was probably a year older than me, and a young girl in a Corsa had hit him, and his leg, the bone from his leg, I saw like coming up out of here.
Mate.
And I ran in to grab my stepmother. She's a nurse, and she came out and told me. I was like, forget about it. I was like, I'll give it another year.
Fuck that. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you must get so much more experience that first year being on the road with a bike.
Let's go through some car stories then for all of us. I think let's do first cars.
Let's do that, yeah.
I obviously know your first car, but let's go with your first car.
Cool. So obviously I told you it was 1998. I've got a photo. We'll put a photo on the screen now.
Do we guess? Is this a good idea?
Yeah, no,
yeah. Have we got time for this? Yeah.
Love this dynamic. Just chuck it in. Go on.
Yeah.
You say, and I've got an idea what your first car was.
It's a black 1998 car.
S190 WGM. Not that that gives anything away.
WGW.
WGW.
No, fucking
I'm wondering if it's a Saxo.
I was going to say that.
I was wondering if it's a Saxo.
I reckon it's a
That's that
Saxo or a 106.
Or it could be a Fiesta. I think
Okay.
it's Saxo. I don't.
Right, so my first car was a black Renault Clio.
No.
Three-door, 1998.
Three-door
I fucking
1998.
loved it.
Okay, yeah.
Loved it.
That would have been a pre. Oh, okay.
Pre-facelift before the car I had.
It was pre-facelift, yeah. But I had some like covers on my lights to make it look cool.
Oh no!
And a big sound system in
Ryan,
it. It was decent.
From experience, I would tell you that did not make.
It did look
cool.
good back then, mate. 2008, I was the bad one.
Can you remember how much you paid for it? How many miles did you have on it?
Yeah,
How
I can
long
remember
did you keep
everything about it. So we went to view it. Went up to West Drayton to buy it. I was in Bracknell at the time. My dad knows a bit about machines and cars, and he's a handy guy. I used to sell cars as well.
Does he actually, or does he keep
No,
the
he
Tiger?
generally
This
does.
one looks good,
No,
son.
he generally does. So anyway, we went and see. It was on for 16.95.
Yeah.
We went up to have a look at it, and basically just there was a young lady selling it, and he just tore it apart. I remember it was so bad. It was really
That
embarrassing.
poor girl.
Anyway, we gave her $1,000 cash for it, and she took it.
She ended up at 16.95.
Yeah, 16. But
95.
This is the thing for me. I mean, I appreciate you have to take inflation into account, but cars on the whole, from the time that I've been driving, or even probably 5 years before, how they've grown in value or how they hold value more. Because I mean, what was an SRH car? 98. This was 2007.
yeah, it's just 10 years old.
Well, yeah, so not a 9-year-old Clio. What's a 9-year-old Clio now? You'd be looking at a 14 plate.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you think about it like that. It's
You would
crazy,
never
isn't
pick
it?
up a 14 plate Clio for £1,000. A 14 plate Clio with sensible mileage.
So gave her $1,000 for
it's
it.
It's a £6,000 car.
It needed a bit. We did spend about 500 quid on it once we got it back. Cause it did genuinely need work doing to it. But I think it done just over 80,000 miles on the brought as
It's
well.
not crazy.
Not fine, yeah. But I had it 6 months and then sold it and got another one.
I thought you were going to say put it in a ditch.
You got another Clio?
No, I've got another car. But we're talking about first cars for now.
Right, so you didn't build that much rapport with the car.
No, I literally went through 5 cars in 2 years. And didn't crash a single one of them. Just
I've never even owned 5 cars.
Yeah,
No,
I've had about
I
15, I reckon. Honestly.
Right. So what do you reckon?
Your first car was 100% a Polo, and you were a Fiesta.
My first car technically was a Peugeot 106.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
Yeah.
That's my second car.
106 Quicksilver.
106 Quicksilver, yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
1.4, yeah.
They're great.
Had a massive 4.5-inch exhaust on it.
Of course it did.
So you had a 106 Quicksilver, your first car?
Yeah, that was my first.
Oh, you're the man around here.
It was a cool car. I
It
paid
was.
£1,000 for it. Bought it from Swindon.
Yeah.
I really wanted one which had been lowered.
Yeah.
It had the blacked out rear lights.
Yeah, obviously.
But this particular model I bought had bonnet vents, and that was too far
And
for
they
me.
were tragic.
It was
Even me at 14 in 2010 thought that was tragic.
No.
I mean,
And I remember saying, I'm 17, this is the only time in my life I'll be able to get away with a car like this.
Yeah,
I remember
fair
saying that at the time. But I wasn't able to replace the bonnet, and so I got rid of it after a few months.
Fair enough. What was your first car then?
so, okay, I had a Corsa.
Oh, okay.
But you're not half wrong with a Polo. I bought a Corsa. I just started my job at Vauxhall.
Yeah.
And I liked cars as a kid, but I clearly knew nothing about cars because I thought a Corsa was a good idea to buy as a first car. And I saw it out and I thought, no, on a black one, a 3-door, get an SXI because I wouldn't be able to afford an SRI. I thought, this is definitely the right car, 100%. I can't change my mind. I had it, and it was very quickly after I realised I made a big mistake.
Yeah.
My mate had bought an equivalent Polo at the time. And and the week I was picking mine up, his had been crashed into and he was driving around in a Corsa.
Yeah.
And he was telling me how awful it was.
Wow.
He goes, I can't wait to get my car back. And he let me over driving his car. And I just said, I should have bought a Polo.
Yeah,
And Matt said to me all these years ago, he goes, no, bro, he goes, it's your first car. You'll fall in love with it because it's your first car. And I thought, I will do. And months in, I thought, I hate this thing.
It was a very sensible first car.
It was
actually,
awful.
Looking back, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was absolutely awful. But I put it through one MOT. I lost £195 on it. Put it on my Auto Trader, got rid of it. And bought myself a Polo.
There you go.
Which, to be fair, to this day, I still regret selling. I love that.
Loved it, did you?
Yeah, it was purple. It had a cream leather interior.
Yeah.
It was probably
Yeah.
not one of a kind, but you wouldn't see many of these around.
Had some personality.
So once I sold my Clio, I had the 106 Quicksilver. I had that for 6 months, and as soon as I turned 18, obviously my insurance went from I was paying I think it's about £2,800 insurance.
Yeah.
It went down to about £2,000. So I got an MG ZR 1.8.
Oh, okay.
At 18 years old. It was bad boy.
Was it
Yeah,
1.8?
cool.
1.8.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're messing
cool
around.
car when you're
No,
18.
it was,
Yeah,
mate, it was
yeah.
so cool. But that had only done 60,000 miles, then the fucking head gasket went.
That was always the problem with those cars. Head gasket.
Head
every time.
gasket. So
Yeah, I think some of it would have been driver error for the sort of people who have owned
yeah,
engines.
yeah. Well, I think I paid about £3,000 for that, and then I ended up selling it for like 1,500 quid. And then brought the Beast, which was the Citroen C2 VTS.
Okay, yeah.
I had that for a couple of years. I fucking love that car. It was so good.
Was it as good as the Saxo VTS?
It was better.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay.
The Saxos was what looked old, whereas the C2 was new.
But not in terms of what it looks like, but I mean, the Saxo in its own right was a brilliant car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no
Certain
doubt.
charm to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, the VTS was a good, cool car. I loved it. Absolutely loved that car. 1.6, 125 brake horsepower.
Which is enough in something
Sprayed
that size.
I've actually got an old photo of that, so hopefully be able to put it on the screen.
Oh,
So I
what did you
sprayed had black alloys on it.
course you did.
It was red with black alloys. It was bad boy for life. Bad boy.
But you've matured now. You've got a new car. You've got a...
Yeah, still got a hatchback though. But I've been through a few.
But I think there's something to be said about hatchbacks.
Yeah, there's classics.
In a-
It's brilliant.
In a day and age, you can have everything. All these crossover small SUVs. There's something to be said about a hatchback.
When you get into married life, guys, like it's cool because like Lauren has the big 4x4, so I don't need a big car,
No.
so I can just get my little run around. I absolutely love my Mini.
You're
Like,
nimble in it.
it's the one of the, probably the best car I've ever owned. And it should do because it's fucking well expensive. So.
Wow, that's a big statement.
It is,
Best
yeah.
car you ever owned.
Well, I've had a lot of company cars, so I never owned it.
Okay, and what is it? It's so it's electric.
It's electric Mini. It's a limited edition. It's called a collection edition.
Okay.
So basically, with the Mini electrics, they're all the same power. Everything's the same, but you have different types
different
of
trim
quality,
levels. Yeah.
So level 1, 2, 3, and then you have always a limited edition one for like 6 months at a time. So I've got the collection edition, which was the Island Blue, and the you noticed my roof actually last
roof's
time.
cool.
Yeah, it's got the what's it called?
It's like a three-tone gradient
Yeah,
on the roof.
gradient roof. So it's pretty cool. But I fucking love it. It's quick as fuck.
It is
How
quick as
long
fuck.
have you had it for?
I bought it in June 2021. So
Oh,
about
okay,
about 2
about 18
years.
months. Okay, yeah.
So I bought it brand new. It was 38 grand, and yeah,
38 grand.
yeah.
38,000 of the Queen's pound.
Yeah.
I mean, now I wouldn't be surprised, but 18 months. I mean, car prices have really gone up in the
The
last
thing
18
is, it's still
months.
worth 35. Like that's the like literally. I did a We Buy Any car, and they'll give me 33 grand for it.
Is it because it's an additional sum? I'm sure they started from like just under 30.
So the bottom levels were 29, I think, and then it went 32, 34 for level 3, and then the
Okay.
collection editions were 36, and then I got the Cooper Works alloys put in for 1,500 quid.
Right, okay.
I think they upsold me on that, to be fair.
Right, okay.
But I didn't want the old electric car wheels. I wanted the black alloys.
Yeah, because I've seen yours and it doesn't look like an electric car. And I thought electric minis look like
They
electric
do,
minis.
yeah. No, it's got nothing. I hadn't even got the electric green number plate. I had yellow number
Yeah,
plate on.
I wouldn't be.
I've taken
yeah.
everything off the front. There's the one thing that shows electric cars is that there's the little mini electric badge on the back.
Right, okay,
That's the
yeah.
only thing. And obviously it's got no engine noise.
Yeah.
So-
what's the score of a mileage? How many miles to a battery do
So
you get?
they say you can do 125.
Is that
You
what that's what
fucking
quote?
can't.
Because
Yeah.
I thought they quote 140 or something, which I must say is not good.
No, so I probably do 90 to 100 the way I drive, to be honest
That's
with
on
you.
a full charge.
Full charge. But to be honest with you, and I've like people question that a lot. I was like, I charge it every 2 or 3 days. I get home at night, whack it on the charge, and it's fully charged in the morning. It cost me £2.50 to do it.
Is that actually what it is? Genuine?
is what we were
£2.50
wondering.
to charge. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've never really got my head because I don't have an electric car to actually work out because they say it's X amount per kilowatt.
Yeah.
And I've been doing the maths. It just seems to be a fortune.
Well, I've got so my electricity tariff. I've got what's called Economy 7. So we'll get into cost of living chat, but
Here we go.
I've got cheaper energy
Right.
cheaper electric between 11 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So I
Okay.
charge it overnight, and it costs me like nothing. To be honest with you, if you go around all the charging points and charge it on public chargers, it will cost triple that, which is still only
Right.
I
£7.50.
don't know because I spoke to someone recently who said they were charging. They were paying something like 50 pence a kilowatt or something. Was it 40 pence a kilowatt? I did the maths and I thought it's going to be costing almost as much as it would do to fill up with
I know.
diesel.
So I know my the one I had a BMW E46 before I bought this.
Right. Okay.
Like, I fucking love that car, but it's just, we'll get onto car problems in a bit, but that was an issue. But that would do, if I put 60 quid in the tank for that, I'd do 250 miles.
Yeah.
And now if I do 250 miles in my Mini, it costs me about £6.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the difference.
That makes sense, yeah.
because we were trying to figure out the numbers on how much our electric costs, price per kilowatt, and mileage and stuff. And we were just like, well,
I've never. You've got there's so the Mini. The other cool thing with the Mini is the app. You have like the full app. You see everything you've charged, everything you've put into it. You can even bloody turn the heating on from the app before you get in the car, which is a cool feature.
Yeah, I think that's kind of across the board of electric cars. Even our electric cars, you can do that with. Feature to have, isn't it? I think they have to come up with all these things in order to be able to kind of optimise your battery as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So we say, you preheat it before you get in the car, so then you're not using that while you're out on the road.
Yeah.
I think electric cars work in a lot of ways, but it just seems there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through.
Yeah, well, I think they are. We said we'll talk about the future of cars. I do. For now, that's the only thing you can really see. I'm sure they'll come up with something else in a few years' time, like hydrogen or whatever they're going to look at.
I think it's been thought about, isn't it?
But electric cars, like some of the new ones coming out, like when they're going to release the Mini Countryman, it's got like a 350 mile range. It would be a great car to have. Like they're fun to drive, they cost nothing, and they're good for the environment.
But are they good for the environment?
Well, they're better than petrol, fossil fuels.
I mean, I think it's interesting what you read in the news about these things and what's kind of, because I mean the government are really up for electric cars. They really want everything electric. They're not willing to invest in anything else.
Yeah.
But are they? I mean, I've spoken to people in the trade who have said there's a lot of conflicting views being thrown around about these because
down to an individual though, isn't it?
I mean, mining all that lithium.
Yeah.
I mean that's got to be taken into account. I went for an interview a little while ago, and a chappie there was saying to me, he said there's been research done. He goes, if you have a diesel car and run up to 100,000 miles, it's going to have the similar sort of effect on the environment as driving an electric car for the same distance. But because nobody thinks about this, but all this lithium, and I mean, on our cars, you get an 8-year warranty with a battery or 100,000 miles. Great, fantastic. An 8-year-old car now, as we're just saying, is not an old car. It's like, what's an 8-year-old car? We're going for it's like a 15 plate. It's not an old car.
Not an old car.
What happens if they replace the battery within 8 years if it gets down below 70% of full battery health? What if it gets down to 7% just outside of those 8 years?
Yeah.
How much is the battery going to cost to replace on a car? It's going to be, I would have thought, around about what the car's worth.
Probably,
so the car
would be worth it.
So the car becomes scrap value, an 8-year-old car. We've had to mine all the lithium. We've had to mine all the lithium in the first place.
Yeah.
That's 8-year-olds that's going to be scrap value and start again. A combustion engine car which is 20 years old, it still runs.
And you got to replace the lithium with another lithium battery.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whereas, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is interesting. The thing is, sat here now, like if we were sat here 10 years ago, we wouldn't have been talking about electric cars as the main new cars being brought. No, and they're not yet anyway.
Yeah,
but in a few years' time, they're the only new cars you're ever going to be able to buy are electric cars. And in 10 years' time, we might look back and think, fuck, man, remember we were talking about electric cars being the future?
And I've said to a few people about this, I said, what comes 2035? And, they've got like a new initiative in place and think, oh yeah, remember when we thought electric cars was going to be a future?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But mine's an investment as well because I don't think I'll ever need to get rid of it. Like,
no,
I will. I've got 4 years on it to pay off, and then I'll buy it outright, and then I'll have that until the end. I'll probably give it to Mila when she turns 17 and starts driving, or 18, whatever it is. 10 years time, she can have it, and then I'll get a new
So this is a long-term view on the car.
Yeah, I love it. I don't think I'll ever need to sell it.
But I mean, if it does 90 miles to a charge now, what are you going to get in 10 years' time from it? On a cold winter's day?
70 miles, but
Milo can never go too far from home.
Yeah. But I mean, okay, cool. So it means I charge it every 2 days rather than every 3 days. It generally doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about range anxiety, don't they, in terms...
Absolutely do.
And I think
it is a thing for the first 6 months, but after that, you're cool.
I think it's just kind of working out how you're doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, a lot of people we sell electric cars to, it makes sense because they have it as a second car. And they're rich living up in their ivory houses with a big old Range Rover sat on a driveway.
Yeah.
And it's great because if we need to go anyway, go on a Range Rover. But they have that as just around town, And I see it makes sense there, but I kind of see it that as like it's a novelty. If you've got a 2-car household, it makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But having it as your only car, if you were trying to drive to Newcastle or even Manchester...
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate they got superchargers you can charge in, but you really have to plan your trip, don't you?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the reality is, I wouldn't take my Mini anywhere further, so I don't need to take Lauren's car.
So I see how it makes sense for you, but I think in reality of people owning these things, that that wouldn't make sense if you can only.
I think it probably gets to the stage you'd need a bigger electric car that has a 400-mile range, and then you have your small runaround that's got a 100-mile range. That's not necessarily a problem.
It's interesting because what you're saying to people you sell electric cars to, and also is the case in your house, you have an electric car and a
you couldn't have it as your sole car. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I do agree with that because if you suddenly, if I go down to Wales to see my dad, if I didn't have a petrol car, I wouldn't go there because it'd be too much of a hassle.
Be on a train.
Yeah, go on a train. Yeah.
I'm always just when I do a long journey, I'm just grateful my car doesn't break down. To be honest, but
We're talking about not a segue because new cars wouldn't break down, but let's talk about.
Sorry, did you say new cars wouldn't break down?
Yeah.
That's such a load of rubbish.
Every car I see pulled over on the side of a motorway is
Brand
under
new.
10 years old.
Really?
Yeah, and everybody is, oh no, I need to get a car because I need something reliable. You buying even a brand new car, a 1-year-old car, 2-year-old, 3-year-old car, does not mean it's going to be reliable in any sense whatsoever.
Neil's just come and picked up my drone. His nice new Mercedes is broken down. And I didn't ask him. I was like, how's that broken down?
Yeah.
And my shit piece
And
car
we're still ticking along.
that cost me $3,000 has literally never missed a beat.
Yeah, I mean, my car's
Why
had
is that?
minimal maintenance over the years. I've done 120,000 miles in it, and I've only had one occasion where it wouldn't start.
Right.
And that was the start motor, which I knew was on its way out. I was just being lazy with fixing it.
Fair enough.
And it keeps going. But yeah,
Let's take that. No, not new cars. Don't break down. Let's talk about our dream cars.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
one cars. I know mine straight off the top. But what would you if you could choose any car you could have, not being stupid, but just a dream car that you could use every day? What would it be?
We were talking about this last night.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be a similar answer. I love Porsches.
Okay.
As I get older, the thing that puts me off Porsches are the people who drive Porsches.
But successful people.
They're always like overweight and bold. Like I hardly ever see anyone who's like, yeah, you look really cool. I look at most people driving a Porsche and I'm like, you're not
You could
cool in
imagine a
other
Porsche
areas.
owner's meet would not be a cool place to be, would it? Yeah.
You wouldn't meet up for beers. They'd be definitely meeting up for teas and coffees, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And it's just that makes it less cool for me. But like a black 911, like not a new one, like an old one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a few years old.
Yeah.
Yes.
You?
Tan interior.
Because when you said anything you want but not crazy, I think like
We could be crazy.
I'd love a McLaren F1.
Yeah.
Like unbelievable car. Like I just think you just can't, in terms of something iconic, you can beat it. But I think every day, if I had a sensible amount of money, I think a new Porsche 911. Like, I like the current phase. They confuse me because there's so many different models and types of them. But I'd have a Targa, so kind of like the hardtop convertible.
Nice.
One of like a couple of years old, and I love them because they're like a fast car. You can still get as a manual, and I don't think you can get anything else equivalent now. Everything is all in auto.
Yeah. I couldn't drive a manual again.
Could you not?
No, I wouldn't want to.
I think, well, again, we're moving to electric cars. We're going to all be forced to drive autos before too long. So I'll drive for a manual for as long as I can. Or what I sent to Matt last night, Mercedes SLS.
Nice.
Which I think would be a really cool car.
I mentioned, obviously, we did what we were watching a few weeks ago. I did the electric car race, racing the motorbike. So that was tempting me, that one. But always been my dream car. It's very specific as well. A yellow Ferrari California with a hardtop convertible as well.
When you say California, is that like a
I've got
a 250?
We'll put a picture on the screen.
Okay.
But, I'll show you after. Yeah, no, it's I don't know anything about it. I just love the way they look.
They are a sexy car. Yellow's an interesting choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're going to get Ferrari, it has to be red or yellow. Why would you get a silver Ferrari?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah,
And I've heard, is yellow be like original OG Ferrari colour?
Yeah, it's red and yellow, isn't it?
But I think everybody thinks it's red, but it's actually yellow.
I think,
I haven't heard that in years. But
I think it was the F1 team that changed it to reds, and then it followed suit after that.
That must have been it then.
Because
type in yellow Ferrari California though, like a 2022 model.
Because I always think Lamborghini is yellow and Ferrari is.
Let's have a look.
Show Charlie.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
it either strikes you as very, very successful hairdresser, or
like it's not nice, but it's a bit. Would you have a convertible? Oh no.
hardtop convertible.
I mean, it's not. It doesn't like jump out, which is interesting because Lamborghinis were just mentioned, and what I don't understand about Lamborghinis is I don't know how anybody could have that little taste and that much money to buy a Lamborghini. I just don't see where those two things meet.
£250,000. I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. I'm going to make it lime green as well.
If you're like 8 years old, great, awesome, cool. But I mean, as like an adult, I just don't know why anyone would own that.
It's practical as well, isn't it? Like you see the rich guys coming out of those underground car parks in London, and they're just scratching the whole bottom of the top. Front wings coming off.
But I don't know if I'm being ridiculous here, because I look at Ferrari California and I think that's a bit boring looking. And I think, I'm slating Lamborghinis for being children's cars. Yeah. Maybe there's a nice medium.
Yeah, I was called a Ferrari California.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I'll race you in my SLS.
I was looking at a second-hand Aston Martin the other day, not to buy.
Yeah,
which I'm sure you could get one.
Business pops up, isn't it?
Speculatively, I was not looking to. Anyway, it's like 30 grand for like an 09 plate Aston Martin.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've never really got Aston Martins, but is that somewhere in between where it's like it's a smart car, it was like sexy interior, but it's not like a Hot Wheels Lamborghini?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's very kind of sedate, isn't it? Just like,
James Bond car, isn't it?
You'll have a shed load of power still, but it's just a bit. Yeah. It makes you realise you could own something like that at 30 grand for something of that age, but it's like.
My dad had a the Jaguar equivalent of the Aston Martin DB9.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
it called?
I don't know, but I know exactly what you mean.
But we'll put a picture on the screen now. You're going to have a lot of pictures.
You're going to have to send me all these pictures.
I will send you these pictures. He had a convertible. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, he fucking loved it. It was like a 3 litre. It was just a beautiful thing. But it was exactly like the DB9, just without the Aston Martin badge and half the price. I mean, it was still like 25 grand for like a 15-year-old car, but he had his fun and then sold it. But good for him. Anyway, should we talk about worst crash you've either been in or seen? Because touch wood, I haven't had any major. I've had a few scuffles and a couple of crashes.
Same. I've had a few scuffles.
But never had a major or seen a major.
I mean, yeah, I've spent the majority of the last decade of my life travelling up and down the M4, so I've seen some pretty nasty things.
Yeah.
But again, it's just when you just get a view over it. I mean, I don't think I've ever
seen it live.
Yeah, I've never seen anything.
I'll tell you a couple of my ones. So one that I've seen, very close to where we are now, obviously for you guys, the big Junction 11 roundabout.
Yeah.
Obviously, when if you're coming from the A33 towards the M4, where you can go left towards you, like Lower Early Way, or you've got the 2 lanes that go into the M4, or you've got the 3 lanes that go straight over. It's fucking loads of lanes.
Yeah, and no markings.
And they're all worn. There was a car that was in the junction for the motorway and went straight across as you're heading towards the continuation of the A33, and there was an Arctic lorry following it. Yeah. And it was behind me, and I remember looking at my wind mirror and I was like, why is the car sideways? It's obviously gone past, and the lorry's not fast, but ploughed into the side of it, and was pushing it along, almost to go off the bridge. Obviously, it stopped.
So, just to get it straight, so what is it? So this is heading up to Junction 11 from here?
Yeah, so you come past...
you know where Foster Wheeler is, when you go past Foster Wheeler on your right?
That bit.
No, going over, when you go over towards Basingstoke.
Yeah, so you're coming with Nando's and the Medeski behind you.
From that way. Okay,
you come up there, and then it goes into like 6 lanes.
That's it. Yeah.
And you fucking don't know which lane you need to be in.
Yeah.
Well, you already know you've got left to Lower Early, and everything else is straight on. And then it goes 2 into the M4 and 3 around, isn't it?
Yeah,
And it was there when someone cut across and got smashed inside. That's one I've seen. The worst crash I've been into. I reversed my C2 into a parked car once. We won't talk about that. But I was driving back from my grandparents in Devon, and you know where Stonehenge is? Have you ever been? Yeah. If you know that road, it's a dual carriageway, and it goes into a single road, and it's always heaving traffic. And it was moving along gradually along. Someone was trying to cut me up, so I just pushed forward in front of him, not realising the other car hadn't gone, bang into the back of him. Yeah, anyway, there we go. What about you? What have you seen and what have you been in?
I feel lucky I haven't been in any crashes.
You've never been in an accident?
You've probably had a more stressful time. You've just had a few, what do they call them, fender benders?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of what's happened to me. I mean, it surprises me actually. There's 2 chaps I work with closely at work, I've worked with for the last couple of years, and they've both now had 2 accidents at work, just like stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, I've done quite well doing my job for as long as I have done. And not doing anything. I mean, I've occasionally, reversed a car into a wall when I'm a bit hungover on a Saturday morning or something, but not, I mean, kind of lightly,
I thought your garage is a bit bent,
it's when you think the Parkinson's is going to kick in and they don't. But, what's happened to me? I remember I was up at Majeski roundabout when I was, probably shortly after passing my test, and I tried to kind of reverse out to go back into another lane, and I reversed into someone, and I didn't notice until this old woman came up, screwing at me down by the lights. Anyway, I apologised to her, and she kind of calmed down and went on her way, and that was all of that. And then when I first got my car, which was all of just over 8 years ago now, I was up at, do you know the Junction 8-9 Maidenhead roundabout on the M4? And lane position I feel is so important because I go past the roundabout now and I still realise there's a fault in the road and I don't really know who was at fault still, and I think it went split liability. But a taxi driver basically cut me up and smashed up the whole front side of my car. I was 18. I was absolutely broken. I just picked up my car. It was horrible. But he smashed up the front end of my car. And it was about £4,000 worth of damage. The front end was hanging off for about 6 months afterwards.
Jeez.
And it wasn't bad. I think it was all over before I knew what was happening, to be fair. But it was it wasn't the best experience of my life.
Doesn't it?
It happens so quickly. And I was there like kind of nervy 18-year-old. I was like, oh, up here. My mate's like, no, he's like, definitely not, because he's definitely at fault. And he started going and giving his mate some shit. But that was to be fair, I think that's the only accident I've actually got into. My car's been hit numerous times since.
So we've had little scrapes in it.
Well, summer of 2018 I got hit twice. Both times my car was parked up, wasn't even in it.
Right.
10 days apart, and I mean, I found out who both of them were, to be fair. So
Really?
Yeah. One was a lorry driver at work. I remember one of the chaps from the service department came in. He goes, "Charlie, you drive a black Audi." And I said, "Do you know I drive a black Audi?" He goes, "You got some front end damage?" And I was like,
"No."
You know I don't have some front end damage.
You do now.
And I went outside, and it was just this fucking lifeless, fucking gormless lorry driver saying, "Oh, I hit your car, mate."
Cheers.
What the fuck? He doesn't. But anyway.
Here's a quick question for you. This would be a fantastic reel, by the way, FYI. If you crashed into a parked car and there was no one there...
Oh, this is a good one.
Would you write a note on the front saying, "I'm really sorry I crashed your car, but people think I'm leaving my insurance details, but I'm actually not," and then put it on the front and say, "I'm left my insurance details," and then drive off?
This is an interesting one. Do you know what I would do? Wouldn't crash into the car in the first place. Because you've got to be a fucking moron to crash into a parked car.
Yeah, you absolutely have.
And again, actually, I forgot about it. It's my car. I've got a scratch down around my arch. My car was hit only a few months ago. Car park in Slough. Of course it was. Of course it was. You see people driving around there. Obviously, that's going to happen. And I didn't realise until I was coming home from work. It must have been kind of late summer because it was still like part of Asda, and I walked for a car park. I was just like, for fuck's sake! And I was just like, not again.
Yeah.
Car's seen so many bruises over the years. But these things happen to people, don't they?
They do.
You know, and there's nothing you can do about it. A customer of mine came in the other day. She's like, "Yeah, my car got hit again." She's been hit like 3 times. Like a year-old. I was like, "Bless her." And it does just seem to happen to certain people. Cars just seem to get hit. But you shouldn't really hit a car at the station, isn't it?
So would you leave a fake note?
I like to tell myself that I wouldn't, and I'd be genuine.
I wouldn't even leave a fake note. If it wasn't that bad, I would just drive off.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the reasons I like my old car is that I'm not bothered about if someone hits me a little bit, gives me a little ding. Do you know what I mean?
Where I'm petrified of people hitting my car.
Yeah. Oh, so you wouldn't like someone to hit your car, but you wouldn't leave your details if you hit someone else's car?
No, because I'd be so annoyed that my car's damaged. My car's damaged, not theirs.
Yeah.
But come back to your point, I wouldn't fucking hit him in the first place. So it doesn't matter.
I'm surprised. Whenever I go down, like Victorian terrace houses and the streets are always really narrow and everyone's parked up, I'm always amazed there's not more like scrapes and dings. So you see.
Well, there probably is, but you don't see them.
Yeah.
You don't know them because your car's not parked down there permanently.
I was on Saturday morning driving to a viewing the other day, and you know when there's cars parked on both sides of the road and there's not really enough space, and I just can't believe some roads just operate and exist as they do, and there's not just always accidents on them. Yeah,
you would have thought so, isn't it? I mean, I think in certain cities you do. Like, I remember hearing when we went to Italy like years ago that Italian drivers were awful. I mean, I've never seen so many smashed up cars and so many accidents in the course of a week. And it's just like you see them have an accident and you kind of like, oh, it's just happened again, isn't it? I don't think it's just over here. Maybe we're quite cautious drivers over here.
I think maybe the British way is although we give a bit of attitude on the road, everyone's quite.
Yeah.
Like when we went to Thailand, for example, and everyone's on motorbikes, and it's just like a free-for-all.
Yeah,
you're holding your baby in one hand, you're driving your motorbike in the other.
And with your cigarette in your hand.
Imagine if you saw that over in Reading Town Centre.
You wouldn't see that, would you? Well, you probably would do it. Admittedly. Anyway, guys,
I'm conscious of time.
Yeah, I've got an appointment to get to, but we're only going to do a quick fire, half an hour anyway.
This was good though, car chat. I feel like we could get stuck into this.
Yeah.
We could do. Just quickly as we end. Are you a Formula 1 fan at all?
Do you know what is interesting? Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Because Matt obviously not. Clearly, you just said you didn't really watch it.
I like it, but I don't watch it every week.
Okay, cool. All right, I think we should have like a little segment of like because the first race is coming up. this weekend in Barrell.
Yeah.
I'm actually buzzing for it. I've just binge watched Drive to Survive. Did it all in 2 days.
The whole thing?
Whole thing, yeah.
Jeez, right, okay, yeah. I'm just onto the second series, but yeah, I need to get through the rest of that.
New series 5 is out now.
Yeah,
I told you to watch it because it'll get you excited for Saturday, for qualifying on Saturday, race on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Let's watch
It's going to be good.
Cool. We'll
Nice
read
one.
next time.
Great.
Would you like to close?
Yeah, well, let's sign off. Thank you, everyone, for checking the Living Room Chat podcast car edition, if that's what we're calling it.
That's what we call it.
Special guest, Mr. Charlie Barrell, myself, Matt, himself, Ryan. We'll see you next week.
Legends.